Hey, what's going on, guys? Today we're doing a quick overview of the electronics that I put into the 3Racing Sakura D4 all-wheel drive chassis. Welcome back, you guys. I'm Matt from RC Overload, and yes, today we are doing a very quick overview of the electronics that I put into my Sakura D4. As you guys have been following along with the build, we've put a lot of cool things into this. Aluminum parts, carbon fiber parts. I mean, this thing is awesome, and we are still not even done with this. I got more stuff coming. We got the body to paint up. Trust me, there's a lot of cool things coming. But nonetheless, I wanted to cover the electronics here real quick with you guys on this Sakura D4. A few of you guys have actually requested that I just do a quick overview about it, so here's that overview. That was cheesy. Alright, anyways, so let's talk about the steering servo, right? After putting some thought into this, I decided to get a very basic servo. Not something that's overly torquey and not something that's overly fast. Something I can just learn on and then upgrade later as we go. Because there is still more things I want to do to this. There's still more aluminum upgrades to it and so forth that I want to improve on this as we go. So, what did I get for a steering servo, you might be asking? Well, I picked up a Futaba S3004. This is, again, a very basic servo. It's plastic gears, right? Nothing fancy. At 6 volts, it has about 57 ounces of torque. And for 60 degrees turn, it does, if I remember correctly, 0.19 seconds of turning radius, right? How fast that arm will move back and forth in a sense. It's not very fast compared to some of the other cars that I have. However, I do know that drifting does not have a lot of resistance in the steering. You're just turning your car to turn the angle when you're drifting. You're sliding on cement. These tires don't have much grip, if any, so I didn't really concern myself a lot with needing a lot of torque in this. Not only that, but the speed I think is going to be an okay medium range. Something I can, again, learn on. So, plus I also got it at my local hobby store for like a couple of bucks, honestly. I'm not going to go wrong for only spending a couple of dollars on a basic steering servo. That's something I'm going to upgrade later on. Let's get into the receiver real quick. The receiver and the controller. Now I am controlling this whole thing with my new DX4S controller. This thing is amazing. I just picked this up a couple months ago. I still actually haven't really gotten to use it much because I'm still waiting on all these projects to get built. But it is a huge upgrade for me, and it has the new DSM-R system inside of it. So I actually need to go through all my receivers and change them out because all my receivers are a little too old for this setup. So, put in a basic SR210 receiver in this. Nothing fancy. I'm not really powering anything else except for some LED lights that we will be putting in later on. But I'm going to hook a basic Y harness setup to it. In the extra spot on the receiver, and we're going to do like a Y split so I can run 2 different LED light setups in this system and have it all powered off the car. So that's it for the servo and the receiver. Now it's on to the motor and ESC, which I will be honest, I had a little bit of difficulty getting that set up, especially with the new controller. It kind of went something like this. Oh. Why do you do this to me? Through this entire build, you have given me nothing but problems. Why now? You know what? I hate you. You've been nothing but problems. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. You know, I can't work like this with our relationship here. You gotta give me a little. Okay, fine. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know, I'm sorry. Can you just listen to me? But you've been giving me nothing but a hard time since the start of this build. Kind of need to help me out here. And I know I don't hate you. Okay? You're pretty sexy looking. I know. All that pink aluminum and the carbon fiber. Yeah, I know. You. Okay, let's work a little. Let's I give, you give. Let's come on. Let's help each other out. So you guys are probably wondering what happened. Basically, after I had bound the transmitter to the receiver, my motor actually started powering itself, about 10% power at all times, even when I had no throttle response being applied to this. I wasn't giving it any throttle, no brake, no nothing. The motor was spinning a little bit at neutral, basically, and I couldn't figure it out for the life of me. Why do you do this to me? Was it something on the controller? I went through all the settings. I made sure everything was dead set. I even tried to program the neutral position, the full throttle position, and the brake position, and nothing worked. You know, I can't work like this with our relationship here. You gotta give me a little. So I was getting frustrated. And again, I should know this from previous experience. I should not be trying to do things like this at 1 o'clock in the morning. You know what? I hate you. That's a lesson I learned a long time ago. Almost blew up a battery at 1 o'clock in the morning trying to solder a new Dean's connector. So, after doing a little bit of reading in the instructions of the ESC and the motor, I realized that I needed to actually program the ESC. Should have read the instructions first. Okay, fine. I'm sorry. Lesson learned. I don't know everything, and not everything is going to work the way that I think it's going to work. So after reading the instructions and realizing that I had to program the ESC in order to get into learning the neutral and the full throttle and the brake position setup, I had to do that. And then after I had set that whole thing up in this, we were good to go. The motor worked the way it should. The positions were all correct. Just read the dang instructions. Let's show you guys the motor in the ESC, right? So again, I've thrown in a Novak Brushless Sensored 13.5 turn motor in this. It is hidden nicely inside of there, as you guys can see. I did have a spare pinion laying around that I'm just trying out right now. If I find out it needs different gearing, or it's too much or it's too little, I'll change the gearing. But for right now, I threw on a spare 19 pinion gear that I have on here, just for testing purposes to see how that works. Again, I can change that out. No big deal. It was just to get this thing running and testing. Why do you do this to me? Anyways, so we ran the wires right along the top chassis for right now, just using some zip ties to hold everything in place. As you guys can see, this is where the ESC is mounted, right next to the receiver. There is not a lot of room in here, so if you have a big ESC and you're running four-wheel drive, do not expect a lot of room to put it. You're really going to need to figure it out as far as the ESC size, if it's going to work in there. I believe, if I remember seeing pictures correctly, if you have the two-wheel drive version of this car, you could probably mount the ESC right on the upper deck, but of course I have the belt right there, so I couldn't do that. So, the other cool part about this is the way that I set this up. I wanted all the wires nice and neat, right? But the problem with that is, in order to be able to program this ESC, the button's on the opposite side, which means it's actually going to get hidden by that upper deck. Well, cool thing for me is that there's actually a hole here on the upper deck where I could mount other accessories or things too, I believe. And that the program button on the ESC actually lines up perfectly with that hole, as you guys can see here. I just take a little tiny screwdriver or a hex head and I just push it down in there and I can push the button, and I can also see the LED lights that are also right next to that button. So it makes things still very easy for me to program up as I need. Now I am waiting to get the rest of the LED lights in here and everything wired before I put all my wire mesh over the wires. Keep things nice and clean and tidy in there. You don't want wires flopping all over the place. So we're going to be doing that later on. But again, I'm just waiting for the rest of the LED lights so I can finish wiring everything in place. Alright, so before I forget and I finish up this video, I just want to show you guys the battery I'm going to be using. I am running Max Amps batteries. I run them in every single one of my trucks and I love them. So again, I ordered up a 6500 milliamp hour 7.4, which is a 2S LiPo, 150C discharge for this Sakura D4 specifically. This seems to actually be the biggest battery that will fit in it out of all the batteries that I currently have. There may be something else out there that'll fit, but again, the 6500 milliamp hour battery seems to fit perfectly. So, just wanted to cover that real quick. That's it for today, guys. If you have any questions, if you guys have any questions at all, feel free to leave me a comment in the comment box below. I'm also going to put a lot of information in the description box as well, so please feel free to read that. Again, if you have any more questions, just post them below. Also, feel free to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I post a lot of pictures of everything that I'm doing here in the studio and when I'm out driving around, and little updates, and I like to share things, so follow us on those. And I think that's it for today, you guys. So, yeah, I just went totally mind blank, and I love that when it happens on camera. It's hard to edit that out. Alright, stay tuned for next time, you guys, because I know we have some really cool RC goodies coming in. It's from a company that could just be on fire. Take care, guys. I'll see you on the next RC Overload.